Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GRTV. Can hear a bit of an echo here because we are in a lovely new construction. It is a life science building, and I am going to share my take on life. I want to express a whole collection of things. So let's go for a little walk along the campus here, University of Hawaii, and let's breathe. Breathing, that's number one. I want to throw 20 concepts out there, just mind-blowing, profound stuff that likely half of it you've heard, but it's just a quick 20-point reference list that is just, in my experience, the right way to live. The number one is, I'm going to just start off with the basics and the 3 chakras and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Alright, so if you breathe, deep breaths, allows you to have control over your emotions, allows you to seek and give space and focus on the rationale, the science, the calculation of things, the reality being that it's not a person that's making you angry, it's just a lack of breath. It's not a situation that's making you stressful throughout your workday, it's just not making it a point to incorporate good breathing. And once you do that, you're able to see more clearly and actually enjoy your work. But that's not to say that the work you're doing is necessarily good, or if the best thing you could do for society with your abilities and your knowledge. Like, knowledge is a burden. It has to be incorporated. You're going to feel the weight of the knowledge that you take on until you rework it and let it go and use it. And number 2, what you're drinking. Alright, so breathing, right? Breath. Breathing. And then when you're drinking, water, a lot of water, be it bottled, be it all these fruit drink, even tap water, it's got chemicals, fluoride, chlorine, stuff in it that's poisonous. Yes, fluoride is poisonous. I recommend Jason's Sea Fresh. It's a very specific recommendation because I think it helps to strengthen teeth. And by the way, you can use a dental pick instead of having to depend on the dentist for that. This is all about transcending, guys. We're gonna be able to live a great worldly peace and harmony once we take on more and more responsibilities, and we can do that with the level of information access that the internet provides, and we can share, right? But just basic drinking, guys. Number 2, what you're drinking. You can let water evaporate, the chemicals, if you let it sit for a while or in the sun. Lots of things to consider. But again, even pure water filters, they add fluoride, poison to the water. Okay? And then there's also this element of hydration. It's like H3O or something. Look it up. I think it has to do with things like eating fresh fruits and vegetables like cucumbers or coconut water. It has like an extra activated ultra hydrating. So, and remember, we always drink less than we except for some. A lot of people are not drinking enough. So once you get that down, then your food. Well, I prefer vegan food, and both so I don't take on the negative karma of hurting animals. So I don't want to do that, and because I also want to be healthier, and it's also less costly. So I'll use I'll open cans of beans and I'll add some olive oil and sauce to it, ketchup, barbecue sauce. I'll cook oatmeal or brown rice, cool it down in the fridge, then add it to a smoothie along with greens and some different elements, including sea salt too. Olive oil and sea salt are a huge element in terms of a tasty alternative to dairy products. So you want to get your eating down, and I have tricks to eating. Sometimes I'll only, some people fast. Sometimes I'll only be doing one meal a day. And it varies for who is doing that. But you experiment with that. And I find sometimes a lunch will slow me down unless I'm hungry. So another trick is to not eat unless you're hungry. There also is the element of eating certain things to incentivize you to keep going. Like sometimes the only motivation I get to have to wake up or to progress on is to look forward to a snack, and that is a incentivization technique, a motivation technique that they can be used. As long as the foods you're eating aren't unhealthy, like the idea of, be it drinking alcohol, caffeine products, excessive sugar, all this stuff, we shouldn't have to use those things to suppress or activate ourselves. In order to live forever, we should, like in a perfect life, okay, we shouldn't have to do all of that stuff. And so part of my general philosophy is, in a perfect life, what would be done? What would be done if we were what would be done if life was perfect? Like, that's just my same idea. The dream mate concept, like why accept anything less than only the best? That's just kind of a standard of living. It's a lifestyle of, well, I want to master my life and establish who I am and my hobbies and dreams before including somebody else in it. Because if you aren't totally determined as to who you are, then why would you want to bring somebody into that mix, that equation beforehand? That would be obviously your non-dream mate, right? So number 3 was concerning food. Number 4 is going to be an overview of the first chakra. The first chakra has to do with meeting your basic needs. You may want to save enough money so you can definitely meet your basic needs for a year, and then perhaps work less in order to, because work, when I say work, I'm talking about working with other people. But maybe you can do that less and actually work on some things that you want to do for yourself, like work that you think is most valuable for the world. So in other words, it's a combination of things. I've found that one secret is to look for a balance in doing all types of works and pursuits and lifestyles, just trying a little bit of everything so that we more and more homogenize and adapt all types of different elements into our lives. And this isn't to say that you need to change. Like, for example, let's say you want to celebrate the Hawaiian culture, but you're vegan, so you may not like some of their foods, but you could enjoy some of their music. You may not like, for example, the hula dancers wearing revealing clothing, or the men and women congregating together. But you can still go to music. You get the idea, right? Like, you don't have to compromise your values. I'm just speaking as an example for myself. I'm not saying that I would want to force people to do and pursue the values that I want, because I want people to operate in authenticity. And the first chakra, this is number 4 out of 20. The first chakra, okay, it needs to be activated by yourself. That's the whole point of the chakras. And you have to meet your basic needs. And if you don't, if somebody else is meeting your basic needs, then you can't authentically choose. You can't authentically do things. Okay? What you should do is activate, and be careful, because some people are programmed, even maybe yourself, to have other people meet your basic needs. But this gives people power over you. So number 5 is activating the second chakra. That's concerning sexual desire, and it's basically the drug of humanity. And yes, some people may have a more enjoyable sexual experience with different people. But that's the equivalent of saying, I want a certain type of drug. And it's not really, even though you might think that, it's such a great thing to pursue a quality sexual experience. It's just like it's just like wanting different drugs. It's not really a human. It's not really the best thing in life. The best thing is truth, seeking your truth and pleasing the person that you love, instead of just giving your passion and energy to somebody else. Now that has to do with the second chakra, because if you activate the second chakra, okay, by yourself and via masturbation, you're essentially pleasing the person you love, yourself, and then you would only give that energy to another person who deserved it, who was your dream mate. Okay? So what's the point of that? Why is it such a high priority, masturbation daily? Well, because if not, your desires and other people will control you. In fact, the responsible thing to say is simply this, that your desires will control you, because once you, quote unquote, masturbation activation, then you transcend into the third chakra. Now, that's number 6, okay? Point number 6 here. Third chakra activation can be either done sustainably by the self, or unsustainably with other people, with the external being an influencer. We shouldn't want to rely on external forces. So to activate the third chakra, you can do positive affirmations, you can write, you can listen to yourself, you can do creative pursuits, art, music, dancing. Exercise is also a major one for the third chakra. It's that energy that you feel, and once at the end of an exercise, you feel great. You don't feel anxious. You don't feel like you need others' approval. You don't feel like you need wealth, or anything like that. You just have everything. You don't feel like you need expensive things to show who you are. And by the way, this third chakra also has to do with like doing work that is for like humanity. It's doing work for humanity, like doing what you truly think is good, that's really empowering to you. And it's not about doing what you think the world wants, but it's about doing what you feel like doing and what you think that the world needs. So that's the third, and the other thing, the third chakra may have to do with apologizing and forgiving yourself. So the whole point is to not depend on other people. So the way you do that is by you can apologize to yourself if you think somebody owes you an apology, and you can forgive yourself if you think you are owing to forgive somebody. And this, you might think that it's counterproductive to do this, but really what you're doing is you're activating your own mind. This also has to do with programming the mind and like doing light work, positive visualizations. When you do that, okay, when you positively visualize, what happens is, okay, you become free, because you're programming yourself. You're not relying on other people to fix things and make things work. Yeah, you're able to feel good, feel truth. Okay? Actually, interestingly, an element of truth, I think in part has to do with the idea of not, well, I'll get to this later. It's something to do with separation of gender. And this was actually a theme in many societies of higher class, even in like kingdoms like in Hawaii and whatnot, where gender was separated. That was a big deal. And to me, and this has to do with power, not exactly sexuality, but power. A lot of people, they just engage in sexual activity not only to satisfy that desire, the second chakra, but the third chakra, which has to do with wanting power over somebody. Like, it's like the prostitute paradox. You'd be willing to give a little energy or money to somebody, or your body. Even a lot of times it's just regular people. They prostitute their bodies to one another. It's the same thing as a prostitute, essentially, except maybe not with as many people, right? But I think you get the idea. So third chakra, right? You want to activate that so you can be transcended to the fourth chakra. That'll be point number 7. Okay? When you get to that place, all right, where you're able to truly unconditionally love, and also third chakra activation has to do with being your own final authority. Okay, and this has to do with the mind, mentally programming yourself with positive stuff that you want in your life. So your values and thoughts and your actions, everything's all consistent. And then you can truly love. You can truly authentically be voluntarily loving. How can you do that unless you have your desires, your needs and wants, okay, needs, desires and wants under control? These are powerful energies that influence our lives. Unless we activate these chakras every single day, they will control us, these energies. And in turn, so for an example, let's go to, this is number 7, true love, right? The fourth chakra. Now you're in the fourth chakra. What can you do there? You can operate authentically. And by the way, the third chakra also is activated by also like religious things like prayer or meditation or like the light work that I do. Okay. Another thing that's important to me is balancing. Okay. So you balance things in the fourth chakra. When you're able to look at the world and see what it's missing, you're able to truly balance things. Okay. Balance. Let's say there's a lack of doctors or a lack of public speakers. Whatever it is. Of course, it's nice to do what you're good at, but it's also nice to do what's necessary. Let's say you wanted to pursue, for example, an attorney and make new legislation or protect people from unfair injustice, or protect people from bad people. All types of different avenues. But let's say there were already enough attorneys or police or whatnot, and you realize that, then maybe you might switch your purpose to performing more music, which of course that allows us to elevate. And so just this rational process of having foresight and really thinking about what you need in your life and what the world needs. What you can offer the world. So try to get some more points in here. I've got 12 more points, 13 more points to go. So number 8, after you've activated the fourth chakra, right? Now now I'm going to get into some more other miscellaneous concepts. So the dream mate. Well, what's the point of life unless you have dreams and a dream mate? And you've got to be smart enough and responsible enough and coordinated enough in order to make this happen. But okay, and your person's either a dream mate or a non-dream mate. But number 9, I have this clause where if the world is suffering, I don't want to enjoy life. If the world is suffering, I would like to have limited enjoyments, and certainly not engage in intimacy and get married and children. What people don't realize is that in a world that's highly populated and there's biologically, speaking, there's enough people in the world. We don't need to. There is no biological imperative to make more children. So, in other words, we should instead, or I'll speak for myself, I should instead focus on making the world a brilliant, magnificent place, and in turn, I can enjoy, if not in this lifetime, another lifetime, a dream mate connection and whatnot. Now, number 9. What am I saying by lifetime? Well, reincarnation, right? I call it the investment theory. If you don't like your body, invest in other people's bodies such that they will reincarnate and be they'll have children, and their grandchildren or whatnot could potentially be your future incarnation. So so that's number 9, right? Operate as if you are the all unity consciousness, that you're every single thing in person. Okay? And then I want to suggest that there's also, okay, it's also number 10. I try and get all these points in, right? So what else is there in part of my okay, we got to do this? Makes life easy. Well, the art of writing. I write emails to myself every day, and also scheduling. It allows you to avoid being manipulated. If you have a schedule, if you know what you want, then you're much more readily able to say no to things and no to people if they're not consistent with your goals and your values. Remember, life is number 11. Life is about making memories. And so it's about making memories with people, right? So people can get it's easy to get distracted by the activities like fancy things, parties, experiences, food. But it's about whom you're doing it with. And I have this theory, just like my dreammate theory. I'd rather be with no one, okay, than pretend to be with somebody. Pretend like they're my, dreammate. They're not. And the same goes with, you shouldn't have to pretend. Sometimes you have to placate and tolerate people. I understand that. But you shouldn't have to pretend like people are your family. And what I mean by that is certain things, should be specifically things that only you're willing to do with family. So for example, be it going to the movies, be it other hobbies, be it eating. Some people, it's just, I know it's getting a little religious here, but with that formality of religion, that is how we better enjoy our lives and not mix personal with business. Now, I have more terminology to analyze that. I'm actually going to be concluding this video soon. I think I've expressed enough. I'm glad to share, though. Glad to share. See if I can get a few more points in. Why don't we go? Let's go with point 12. So easy world peace. Well, it's easy if we remember who we are, all that is light and love, and operate from that. Not operate under the auspices of we have to do something, we have to be something. Eliminate that. You don't have to do a job you don't want. You don't have to be with people you don't want. And by the way, maybe you do. In order to meet your basic needs, you have to meet your basic needs. Right? You have to meet your basic needs, but once you do that, then you're free. Think about it. If you have enough money, you can do what you want. All right? So choose. When you have a choice to choose. That's the secret to being free in life and not being a slave to social expectations or programming. By the way, things that seem familiar can actually be quite negative. They may seem familiar, but it's only because it's familiar from your past. So I'm going to suggest, if you've watched this far, check out easyworldpeace.com. Scan through my videos for positive ways to transcend envy and fear, and go from the illusion to the love that is so much more than just the first chakras, the 1, 2, 3 chakras, but is more like a waterfall, like the water flowing through, breathing, being the light, visualizing it, visualizing people smiling, programming your mind to create what you want, and not accepting anything less, both for yourself and the entire world. So, are you ready to go on that adventure? Go for it.